We are almost ready to get started in coding our VBA application, but before we proceed, I'm just going to explain two things that we're going to be using a lot in this video. Number one is going to be the do loop, and number two is going to be using if statements. These are going to be two statements that we need to understand and know before we proceed. That way, when it comes time to building the VBA application, it's not that difficult and the code's going to be a lot easier to understand. So let's go ahead and get started with the do loop. I'm going to double click the command button I already have created. Just for right now, I'm going to erase this code and write the code inside the command button. So the do loop in its simplest form, very simple explanation, it's going to execute code that you write over and over and over again until a condition is met, the condition that you create. So in this case, it starts off with a do, and then it's to say your code, and then it's going to be loop until, and then the whatever condition that we create. In this case, let's just say we put a is equal to 10. 10 is your variable. You want to first create that variable. So at the top, we'll just do a is equal to 0. Inside the do loop is where you'll put the code. Let's put a is equal to a plus 1, message box a. So this code will be executed over and over and over again until a is equal to 10. And so if I hit F5 or play and click command button 1 or test 1, we're gonna get a message box 1, 2, 3, all the way up until 10. And then of course it's gonna stop. Now I'm going to recommend this right now, and this is something that you really want to keep a note on. After every single do, you should always write DoEvents. DoEvents gives the VB a chance to, you can say, take a break and run any kind of code or allow you to do something to your user form. Because when you're inside the do loop, what VB is focused on is just applying that code over and over and over again without taking any kind of breaks until the condition is met. In this case, a is equal to 10. Now, because it's not taking any breaks without the do events, it's going to appear as if your application is frozen. Now, this really isn't a big deal because this loop is small, and even at that, we're doing a small message box. You can say that in a way is kind of a break. Now, if let's say we're waiting for a web page to load, if we were just to write do, and let's just say it's loop until the web page is open, during those whatever it may be, 1 to 2 seconds that the page is loaded, for those 2 seconds it's going to appear as if your application is frozen if your user tries to click on it. In order to prevent that, it's always a good practice to write in a DoEvents. DoEvents will ensure that the application is not frozen, it doesn't appear to be frozen, and at any point you can easily use control break in order to stop your application from running, and you won't get into any kind of issues where your program is frozen and VB or Excel crashes on you. So again, in its simplest form, it's just do loop until loop until your condition is met and whatever your code is. But always, 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 very good practice to put a DoEvents right after your first do.